Okay, nice to have you back. Today, let's continue our topic on the Insta360 X4. The X4 with the Peter McKinney limited edition, the 2-in-1 foldable selfie stick. But actually, the topic for this video is to presume the ultimate imaging quality from your 360 camera. So you're gonna learn in this video also apply to any other 360 camera, including the X3, even the One X2, the One RS, the 1-inch 360 mod, and 360 camera manufactured by other brands. Well, the key idea for this video is to get the best, the optimal signal-noise ratio, no matter in photo or video. That's to get a pure, noiseless, high-quality video and photo. So we're going to cover both photo and video. We're going to learn a lot in this video. Let's get started. Here I have my X4 on my desktop. I will also give you a top-down shot to show you the settings, but I would like to give you my personal explanation behind every tips and tricks. First, let's go to the photo. For a single capture, well, it doesn't matter for photo because you capture a single frame and you get a lot of amount of time. You don't have to capture a 30 or 60 frames per second, so you get a lot of amount of time. For me, if I'm holding this selfie stick, the 360 camera on the top of my selfie stick, the margin, the safety margin for me is around half seconds. So you can test by yourself. To get a crystal clear and sharp image, your export time should not exceed that of your safety margin. For me, I can capture a frame very clear and sharp within half seconds. And number two is to follow my step. Here you can see in the Insta360 X4, the exposure control, have been greatly optimized in this category. Well, here I teach you how to capture in semi-auto exposure within X4 in photo and video, of course. Menu. For example, I'm now capturing in daylight, so I'd love to put my export time to 1/120 seconds to guarantee that I have a crystal sharp in daylight with amount of light. In low light scenarios, I can lower down the exposure to half seconds because that is my safety margin. Here you can see in 120 seconds on ISO. ISO you got auto and manual. 800x is the limitation for the high imaging quality. Unless you really have come across with very little light, so you actually have a semi-auto exposure. That is a shutter speed priority in photo. That is the key idea to capture the best imaging quality. And the pure shot, you can boost the imaging quality further with AI. So you can capture in pure shot or pure shot plus raw. The pure shot, the X4 can process with AI within the camera, well, no other camera could do, only Insta360 X4. Or you can pure shot plus raw. If you're a professional photographer, you have a more fine-tuning post-production. This is where you're gonna choose the pure plus raw. Okay, and that's it. With this safety margins, high quality imaging, it's guaranteed. Here you can see, for example, I do hope you can customize the name and shoot in 360 photos. Yeah, and I can add this preset. This is where I have, my high quality photo preset. So every time you can switch back and you get this settings. Here you can see for low light, I normally put my export time to my safety margin. It is half seconds. And yes, I also have ISO to maybe 400 max. Because I can have the camera longer than any other photographer, so end up with lower ISO. I end up with better signal noise ratio. Yes, pure shot plus raw. And exposure compensation, I would love to lower down to minus 0.7 because with a branch of the cityscape in low light scenarios, you're easily to get overexposed in highlight areas. And here is a preset for my low light. And yes, customize with another one, customize. And if you capture in time-lapse photo, what you're gonna learn the basics also apply to time-lapse video, time-lapse photo, star lapse, or the burst capture. And previously, Insta360 also have introduced the night mode, but when they come across with a pure shot and high quality on the basis of a single RAW, night mode is a part of history. I mean, it's great. And you can learn how to get highest quality photo. Well, if you do have enough amount of money, you can purchase some extra AI empowered application on a desktop, Windows or Mac, such as Photo AI or some other software that utilize the power of generative adversive network or the Google Transformer to boost the imaging quality even further into your 360 or a single lens. Well, this is a part of another video. If you want to know more about AI, how to empower your 360 with AI, I'm considered to make a video talking about the topic. Don't forget you can use tripod. I mean, with a tripod, you can exceed the export time in your safety margin. The longest export time for the Insta360 X4 is 120 seconds, 2 minutes export time. You get plenty of time to export capture light, even in star lapse, with the lowest possible ISO. So, the last tip for high quality photo is to use a tripod. For photo, you can capture one frame within 120 seconds, but for video, you have to capture dozens of frames within 1 second. And normally you capture holding a selfie stick or move around on a car, and at the same time in low light. So to capture the premium video quality in low light, especially in low light, is very tricky and very crucial. But if you do bear the basic principle at the beginning of my video in mind, it's actually very easy. The basic principles: the most amount of light with the most amount of data with the best signal-noise ratio. Well, first, how to capture the most amount of light? Because you have to capture multiple frames within 1 second, the export time is very limited. So especially in low light, in daylight, in 8K, you always get plenty of light, even come across with overexposed. That's the reason why sometimes people would love to use ND filter for 360 cam, because they design with a large aperture. It's large aperture. So it is not problem in daylight. But in daylight, just remember, always use the lowest ISO. Otherwise, we come across overexposed. But in low light, things got very tricky. Tips number 1, to use a lower frame rate. And number 2 is to capture perhaps in 5.7K. If you perform full sense readout, you get NR with 11K. And use a large pixel mode, you get NR with a 5.7K large pixel. Well, this large pixel is more sensitive to light. You have a same pretty identical image sensor, but when you read out in different mode, you capture the different amount of light. In small pixel, you get a little bit more noise, and it's less sensitive to a bigger pixel. This a 5.7K 30 or 5.7K 25 FPS is highly recommended in low light. In low light, yes. Or you can capture in 60 frames per second or 50, depending on your country. But with 50 or 60 frames per second, you're most likely to come across with blur, with flickering effects. Well, for capture in 30 or 25 is a pretty highly recommended settings. Well, we do have one capture with plenty of light, but I still want to maintain a limited file size of 5.7K class. 5.7K plus is recommended. Well, otherwise, the 5.7K 25 frames per second is recommended, because if your goal is to capture 25 frames per second, well, your safety margin for a single exposure is actually 1/25 seconds. Actually, a little bit faster than that, because your processor need to carry data and save to your internal memory. When you capture in 60 frames per second, your safety margin will be limited to 1/60 seconds for a single frame. Another tricky side for when capturing video is the Flowstate stabilization. Now it is a simple matter of the electrical stabilization rather than the mechanical. So you're gonna to capture your frame faster, perhaps in 1/100 or even 1/200 seconds to get rid of the motion blur. Yes, you get amount of light is great, but you get the jitter effects, the motion blur, to end up with a large amount of false data. It's unwanted data, and this will ruin your signal-noise ratio because your content that will ruin your content. I mean, you can definitely use auto and turn on the low light stabilization. In low light stabilization, the camera will most likely to use faster shutter speed to get rid of the motion blur. So this is the simplest form factor to get the premium quality, and export settings lower down to 0.7 in low light. And the color profile, I would prefer the standard because the vivid is a little bit oversaturated, and the flat is not log profile, and X4 is only an 8-bit camera, so it doesn't have to capture in flat. Standard is a great quality overall, and that is where the Brandon Lee and the premium content creator recommendation in their workflow. Yes, and that's it. So this is the basic settings for low light. So the capture settings customized. This is one of the settings. And if you want to gain more precise control for your low light video, here is my settings. Manual, and you capture the shutter speed to 1/100 seconds, because if you turn on the low light stabilization, I mean the X4 tend to use sometimes 1/200 seconds. They end up with ISO 1600. Here are ISO to ISO 800 max. I mean 800 is my personal limitation in my mind. And that's it. Here is there's a video. And yes, this is the settings for me to capture in low light. There's a bonus tip for you guys is that in the live preview for your app or your screen, just take a look at where do you get most likely to the highlights, overexpose the highlight. So expose for the highlight in low light scenarios is another tricky tips for you guys. I do hope you can get in the app you get histogram. I mean histogram you can control really precise in every different zone of your capture. Let me follow my step. You get the most amount of light. Actually for video, it's very hard. It's quite difficult to get the most amount of light because the light is very limited. It gets the most amount of data. Here I do have bonus tips to get the most amount of data to obtain just like the original data. So you have more settings, the image settings, the H.265, well, for efficiency, and the bitrate always set to high. If you set to high, you get end up with around 140 megabits per second. You get most amount of light. You can play around by exporting in the studio software that retain the better quality. And the video sharpness, well, if you want the straight out workflow, the medium will give you a great compromises in between the sharpness and the artifacts. I would never use high, and I would like to use low if I will add extra sharpness settings in post-production. And anti-flicker is auto, and in-camera stitching doesn't work on video. So this is some bonus settings for for your video. Okay, if you end up with all these settings, you should come across with you should get the best quality in low light. I mean the Insta360 X4 is not A7 Mark IV. It's not a full frame sensor. So to get the most optimize image quality from the camera. You need to learn some principles and need control. You need to understand the settings, and you need to perceive the feedbacks from your video. So it's not just to follow the tutorial step by step or the aka the export chart. You must bear the basic principles in your mind to truly understand how the X4 capture the frame, how they expose, and try out your safety margin and add the personalized presets, and that's it. Well, one bonus tip for low light video is that yes, you can also use tripod. You can always use tripod. You can get rid of any motion blur, and you can use the longest shutter speed. I mean 5.7K 25 frames per second. You can use 1/25 seconds exposure without motion blur because your camera is stationary. And if you capture the content in very bright sunlight, it's a high dynamic range. This is where you can use active HDR. I normally would not use active HDR in low light because capture in active HDR mode, tend to capture less amount of light from your single image sensor, because different pixels capture different amount of light and synthesize in the sensor to extend your dynamic range. Actually, not every pixel exposes at the longest shutter speed, so you capture less amount of light in this mode, but it works in daylight. You do have colors with a large amount of light. You have a oversized amount of light. That is where it works, but never use active HDR in low light. I will zoom your shots. This is my personal experience with X4. Then most of my bonus tips and tricks also works on X3, One X2, or One RS, and also works on the Quick Ultra, the Cedar X, and some other cameras. And with video, we also purchase some AI-powered application in post-production. But you need more time, more money. It has more time consuming as well. And if you can, just take off your lens guard, because that will lower down your optical quality. And I will keep your camera clean and tidy. Remove your lens guard, and yes, capture with enough amount of battery. Yes, you must guarantee that your content could be saved in your internal memory. And yes, never forget to bring a micro SD card in the slot. The X4 doesn't have internal memories. You know what I mean. If you come across it, take out the camera, press the shutter button. Boom, no SD card. You can learn something from this video, and I have captured a lot of amount of 360 or a single lens with X4, and X4 is really astonishing 360 cam even in the year 2025. And if you do found this video helpful, please don't forget to thumb up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And bear in mind, you must understand the basic principles. You must truly understand the principles and unleash your creativity. So talk to you soon. See you next time. Bye.